Deputy Speaker, no one is denying that after 14 years of desecration by the Conservatives, the backlog in the Crown Courts is out of control and stacked against victims. But curtailing jury trials is not necessary to tackle it. There is no evidence that these plans will fix the problems in our criminal justice system, and the Institute for Government has suggested that restricting juries could save less than 2% of court time. It's no wonder then that thousands of lawyers have written to the government to oppose these plans. They do acknowledge, like many of us, that this bill does contain provisions such as the repeal of the presumption of child contact, which has been long campaigned for by many of us in this House, organisations such as Women's Aid and Right to Equality, and led by the incredible Claire Throssell, who joins us in the special gallery today. As well as making transcripts available from the Magistrates' Court, long campaigned for by Charlotte and the team at Open Justice for All, among others, and supported also by many of us in this House. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, when it comes to the proposals around jury trials and the curtailment of them, I have spoken to many victims of rape who feel that their trauma is being instrumentalised to undermine and restrict a fundamental cornerstone of our democracy, all for cost-cutting purposes. Of course they want reform of the criminal justice system, but they want it to be evidence-led. The value and the importance of a jury system cannot be understated. The House will be aware that I was cleared by a jury after a vexatious trial driven by malicious intent in 2021. Originally, my case was set to be heard in a magistrate's court. Now, I'm not saying that this would have led to a different outcome for sure, but the risks of miscarriages of justice for someone of my background, working class, Muslim, a woman of Bangladeshi heritage, would have been without a shadow of a doubt much higher. Now, in 2017, the Justice Secretary had said in his report, and I quote, "Juries are a success story of our justice system. Rigorous analysis shows that on average, juries, including all white juries, do not deliver different results for black and minority ethnic and white defendants." The report goes on, and I quote, "This positive story about the jury system is not matched by such a clear-cut story for magistrates' verdicts. In particular, there are some worrying disparities for BAME women of those women tried at magistrates' courts. Black women, Asian women, mixed ethnic women, and Chinese other women were all more likely to be convicted than white women. This bill will entrench structural discrimination, and I believe that the Justice Secretary knows it. Indeed, I'm also alarmed by proposals contained in this bill which seeks to introduce trial by judge for some financial and fraud cases, given that the Criminal Bar Association have highlighted that over 78% of barristers have said that it is important for juries to be able to evaluate complex evidence and prevent an overreach. The jury in my case, I'll give very briefly.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. I've just looked at the recent stats. In 2025, ethnic minority circuit judges amounted to 67. Unknown was 42. White was 637. The very vast majority of which are men. What does she say about that?
Well, my honourable friend highlights some very important and vital statistics that already show that we already have an issue in the criminal justice system, in our legal system, which we know doesn't reflect the wider diversity of communities at hand who experience and go through the criminal justice system. I was mentioning, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the Criminal Bar Association have highlighted that over 78% of barristers have said that it's important for juries to be able to evaluate complex evidence and prevent an overreach when it comes to financial and fraud cases, and that the jury in my case considered evidence, in my view, quite necessarily over 8 days. We also know that the majority of women in prison are survivors of violence against women and girls, with nearly 70% of women in prison reporting having experienced domestic abuse. They are less likely to have been tried by jury because they are more likely to have been in a magistrate's court facing offences that are either way offences which could have been done and considered by a jury. I am very, very worried and concerned that the proposals in this bill will result in more victims being jailed. And this really does matter. 3-year prison terms are life-altering sentences that could now be handed out by a judge. The government has no mandate for this, a decision of such magnitude, but it wasn't in the Labour Party's 2024 manifesto. So instead of restricting jury trials, I urge the government to invest in and fund properly our criminal justice system to address the issue of court backlogs. Because every single one of us should have equal rights under our legal and court system, because jury trials are a fundamental legal safeguard against miscarriages of justice, and because surely our society should be one which is based on true fairness in the course of delivering justice.